Let's put a new clutch on the Monster Moto 80cc mini bike. So recently I picked up this mini bike and I was able to get it started. However, when I went to go ride it, it wouldn't move when I sat on it. But when I lifted the back tire up, it would get to the speed it needed to. And you can tell it runs if there's no weight on it. So that led me to believe the clutch was bad. I tried taking the clutch apart and fixing it. That did not work. So I went ahead and picked up a new clutch. Got this from Amazon. I think it was around 30 bucks. So they're pretty cheap, but that's another issue is it may not last you as good as a clutch you get from maybe Go Power Sports or something. So, but it'll definitely work for what we need it for, just to get this thing running. So let's go ahead and get this thing put on. All right, so the easiest way to do this is to take the chain off and then pull the old clutch off rather than trying to take the tire off or mess around with any of that. So if you just pop this little master link off, you can probably get that off with a screwdriver and a hammer like I did. And then you just want to push this out. It might give you some issues because of the tension on the chain. You usually can just get it popped off with the screwdriver. Let's get the screwdriver in here and just pry it. And this little thing comes off. All right, make sure you do not lose those pieces. Like I almost did. Boom, boom. Okay. And then you should just be able to get behind it and pry it. Okay. Now you should be able to get it in there with off with your fingers, possibly. This chain needs some work for sure. It's all about leverage. Just get behind there and pop it off. It's definitely easier if you have some sort of workbench or something to prop this mini bike on. Definitely saves your back. So now that we pop the chain off, we have access to the clutch. First, we're going to want to take this bolt off that holds the clutch on. So to get this bolt off, the best thing to use is this impact. Don't use a ratchet wrench because you're just going to be spinning the clutch the whole time. You're not going to get enough torque with a wrench to take it off. You'll just be spinning and standing out here for hours. Unless you can find a way to get this whole thing to stop moving, then you can use the impact. But go ahead and, or the ratchet wrench, sorry. So then anyway, take that bolt off, and then you're going to need the snap ring pliers, which I think my son just stole from me, so give me 1 second. All right, after an intense battle with my son, I was able to get the pliers. So go ahead and take this snap ring off. This is a cheap pair of pliers I got from Walmart, so they're not the best, but it works. Once you take that off, this whole thing should just freely pull off the crankshaft. Boom. All right, this is the old one. Nasty. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. Do not lose this washer that was sitting on here. Put that back on there. All right, now that we got that clutch off, we're gonna go ahead and take our new one. And you're gonna wanna make sure it lines up with, there's a key in here, as you can see right there. You're gonna make sure that lines up with the key slot here on the shaft. And there's only really one way it can go on, so just move it around till you get it on there. Boom, once we're on, we're gonna wanna put the snap ring back on. So what I like to do is just grab it like so. Spread it out. Oh, wait. I just realized there's one on here already. Oh. Okay, so maybe you don't need to take that ring off to take this thing off. Okay, so I see what. So that snap ring just holds the clutch together, so you don't need that. You don't need to take that off. Cool. All right, well, we just did an extra step for no reason, so don't mind me. After that, you can go ahead and slap the bolt back on. I'm doing this one-handed. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. Okay. Go ahead and get this thing back on. Okay. Now that we're back on, we can go ahead and pop the chain back on. Make sure that this is lined up with the rear sprocket as best as possible. We don't want that chain to be at an angle. Looks pretty good to me. We'll also get a better feel for it when we put the chain back on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. It's a little bit more of a pain to put this master link back on than it is to take it off. But with a pair of pliers and some leverage, you can get it back on. All right, so I got it back on. As you can see, there you go. I did have to mess with the tensioner a little bit just to get some slack in the chain so that I could put it back on. But one thing I do want to mention is to make sure you have the right clutch. So this is an 11 tooth, 5/8 inch. I believe the shaft is 5/8 inches. And you can literally just take a measuring tape and measure the shaft, and then that's how you get your correct size there. Yeah, just make sure it's the right one. It's not going to work very well for you otherwise. All right, so now we got to make sure we have the tension right on this thing. So to know you have the correct tension, you want about a 1/2 inch of play in the chain, about midway between both the clutch and the rear sprocket here. That looks pretty good to me, actually, right there where it's at. You do not want it too tight or else it's not going to function properly. And you also don't want it too loose or it's just going to pop off. So we'll go ahead and just adjust this tensioner. Make sure it stays where it needs to be. All right, I'll get that tightened up, and then we'll see if we can give it a little test drive and see if it indeed was the clutch. All right, so after doing all that work and putting the clutch back on and all that, I want to take it for another test drive and still did the same thing. So I did a little bit more research and I took the back tire off again, and what would you have it? Oh, I almost died. What would you have it? The back wheel bearings are completely seized. I was able to get them free and grease them up, and it was able to go a little bit, but still nowhere. Like, it'll probably go like 2 miles per hour with me on it, and if it hits tall grass or rocks, it's not going to move at all. But if you're on flat ground like the road or in my garage, it'll go like 5 miles per hour. So yeah, I'm going to order some wheel bearings, and then I guess that'll be another video coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned, and peace out.